Before we begin this podcast, Golf Magic want to talk about Grayson Murray. Grayson Murray passed away last week at the age of 30. Now, Grayson is a tour winner, 58th in the world. But for more than that, Grayson Murray is an absolute hero. He's been very vocal about his struggles with depression, anxiety, sobriety, things that take a lot of courage to do to get out in the open, to talk to your friends, your family, let alone discuss it with the media. It's absolutely heartbreaking to know that Grayson Murray lost his battle with these demons. And if you're struggling with anything, how big and how small it may be, please talk to someone, reach out. There's going to be some links in the description down below of some relevant links if you are struggling with your mental health. It's always good to talk about it. Let's jump into the podcast.
Right, everyone, welcome back to the incredible Par 4 podcast presented by Golf Magic. Myself, Willie Woods, and Jozza Percival are all joining you on a wet and windy Tuesday morning here in the southeast of England. Is it wet and windy for
and
you
your
both?
birthday.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Birthday,
Yeah.
Alley Town.
Wonder how long that was going to take to get out there. I'm 28 years of bad golf. We're going to talk to you guys today about all things golf, what's happened with our golf, and help you guys out if you're going through a swing change, stuff like that. Will, how has your week been? Golf-wise, non-golf-wise, how's it been?
Yeah, it's been really nice. Over in the UK, we've just had a bank holiday, so I've got bank holiday blues. So that was I feel a bit tired today, but no, it was a really nice, wholesome weekend with the family. Took my nephew out mini golfing. I'm still awful at putting, so that really didn't help my woes. And yeah, then had a really nice day with my mum yesterday, which is really good, and weather's been nice. So, well, not today, it's not. It's really actually quite miserable outside, but it was quite nice. And yeah, my golf game, yeah, we all played together. When was that? Last Friday. Weather and vibes were high, but we were all making some silly mistakes, but it was still a good laugh. Really good fun. So hopefully we get another round in all of us very soon. But yeah, no, it's other than that, it's hopefully we'll have a good week if the weather gets a bit better. So fingers crossed.
Did your nephew beat you at mini golf?
Anyway, Johnny, how's your week been?
All right, I'll answer that. Johnny, how's your week been?
My week has been good. It's been a big week for my game. Actually, I had a couple of lessons with my dad, and we are changing things up big time.
Right.
For those of you who've watched our content before, you might know that I tend to hit a kind of high draw, but that is no more. We're moving to a fade. We're moving to control. We need to bring those scores down, get under single figures for the year. That was the plan at the beginning of the year, and I'm still stuck at about 12.2. So we are going whole scale swing change, hopefully just kind of tone down the misses, because at the moment with the draw, I've got that like big hooky one and the block straight right, which is causing me all sorts of problems. So we're in a period of transition. Hopefully that will be a brief period of transition and we can get back to winning ways on the golf course, because I've actually got a lot of rounds of golf coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Nice.
Myself and Alex are going to play the Grove. I'm also going to play Minchinhampton, playing a new golf course in London called Inspiration on Friday.
That'll be fun.
So I need to be in like a good zone, and it's not long until I've got my annual 4-day medal stroke play event. So I need the game to be in good nick for that, because I'm going for a hat trick of victories. I'll be the first person to ever win back to back, and I'm going for my third in 3 years. So I need to be in good nick for that. But yeah, we're hopefully moving in the right direction.
A 4-day medal.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Well, it's four rounds, typically over 3 days. But this year, because so many people are getting married, so many weddings, so many honeymoons, so many stag do's, we're doing it over 2 days, 4 rounds on the same course off all 4 different tees. So playing off the reds, whites, yellows, and the championship blacks as well. So hopefully it'll be a big kind of different array of scoring. But it's at like 6 of the 8 home course, so they've got a massive advantage. But you never know.
Yeah.
Keep my handicap around 12.2 on that. I must have a nice little competitive edge, but I don't want to be a sandbagger my whole life, so I would like to get down to single figures at some point.
Absolutely.
Is your swing regarding is it a completely new swing now then? Have you videoed yourself with
It's
this new?
it's slightly different. The main difference is just the takeaway. I used to
Okay.
take it back really far on the inside to kind of force myself to go into out, and I'm kind of
Hmm.
taking the club back now, keeping the club outside my hands,
Yeah.
and then kind of dragging down and trying to. I'm actually trying to hit it a lot harder,
Okay.
because with a cut you can kind of really go for it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's in. I'm still kind of tweaking, tinkering with it. I played a couple of holes on Saturday, and I hit some good shots. It was all the
Nice.
miss. I can basically now take out the left side of the golf course, which is good because I'm not going to hit anything left.
Right.
Join
So
me,
kind of
sir.
Colin Montgomery style.
Mm.
It's just all about kind of fine tuning it now, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's back to my younger years when I used to hit a fade, and I'm not a massive fan of it, but I'm hoping if I can kind of remove
Lower scores.
numerous penalty shots off the tee, I'll bring my scores down.
Mm.
That's the plan anyway.
You can
Yeah.
talk
Keen
to
to
a
see how
fade.
that goes.
You can talk to a
You can
fade. You
talk to a
can't
fade,
talk.
but a draw won't listen. Yeah, so it's the saying.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm planning on. I do fear I might have lost a fair amount of yardage though, moving across. So
Spinny cut type
just need
thing.
to start swinging harder.
Accuracy, though. Would you rather hit fairways or
Yeah,
take
it's
distance at
true.
the tee? Alex, don't answer that question.
I would have the
So
same
yeah,
answer. I'd have the
I mean,
same
you'll all
answer.
see it next week. I think we're filming next week, aren't we? So hopefully I'll be
Mhm.
able to
Yes.
show off
Yeah,
show off the new swing. We'll see.
absolutely. Get that in on camera, mate.
Looking
Indeed,
Every
forward to
angle.
it. I mean, that kind of brings
indeed,
me on to
indeed.
the main topic of this video with yourself and Will, Johnny, about kind of going through swing changes, course management, drills as well. And I think the difficulty that amateur golfers go through with that, because I'll be honest, it's bloody hard to do something to make a drastic change, as you're saying there, going from a one swing path to another. We had when we played on Friday, a friend of ours who's also in the industry had a revolutionary swing change actually with myself and Will the
Mm.
weekend before, where he basically extended his swing by about 40% and was hitting absolute
Exaggerate, exaggerate.
reams. Yeah, I've never seen someone change their swing so much in an hour and a half. I will
Especially
say,
on course as well. That's
yeah,
rogue. That's wild. Wild cards
exceptional.
change in the ground.
But
Yeah.
the difficulty with things like that is when then the bad days come in terms of the bad rounds of golf, you start doubting yourself. I'll happily say the friend, he's already doubting that swing. He's already changed back over the last round of golf he played, the small one. Um,
No.
but I'm going through some swing changes. I actually kind of start of this year, I've always said I want to get down to scratch. And this weekend like grounded me in several different ways because I've actually been playing quite well. I guess we're in different kind of spectrums here, Johnny, because you said you've been playing kind of a bit so, and now this fade will start you playing better. I've been practicing playing pretty well, swings looking better. Cannot take it to the course. So this weekend played a 2-day medal, and on the Saturday I actually played pretty well, but I had a 9 on my scorecard. I shot 7 over with a 9, which completely ruined it. And then on the Sunday, I played a bit better on the front 9, but didn't score well. It was like 4 over, and then shot 52 on the back, or 53 on the back, and shot 93. I think my worst score for as long as I can remember here, my worst back 9 score I would say in 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And it was and you know what? On the first day I played with someone who was a +1, a 17-year-old kid who makes me feel very old. And this is kind of
Oh
what
my
I'm trying to
God.
get to, right? That +1 scratch thing. This kid was. I will never be as good as this kid. Like his ball, he shot 2 over, and it should have been 8 under. Like I was watching it the entire time. Every single shot, you heard the fizz coming from the ball, and it was so impressive and also
Did he
so
bomb it?
infuriating. I mean, his
Or was it
driver
just accuracy?
bombed. Yeah, accuracy. He hit 16 out of 18 greens. His putter was the problem. Missed one fairway. Swing just like butter the whole time. He would have just consistently hit the middle of the club face. And I think that on
Wow.
top of my 93, I was just like, I've said, oh, I can get to scratch, and I'm like, I'm nowhere near that level of scratch. And I think one thing that I really struggle with, I think post round and also during that back 9, is the level of being like, well, I don't care, you know. I had, I think, 3 9s on my back nine scorecard because I would hit it. My driver was really poor. I couldn't keep it straight. And if I hit a ball out of bounds, I would just look at my playing partners, be like, I'll score a 9 because that's the maximum you can take for a hole. And so I'm like, I don't care. And they look at me like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to win, so it doesn't matter. If I don't win, I don't care.
Attitude to have, sir.
It's an awful attitude to have. If I'm not winning, I'm happy coming last. Like, that's the thing. And that's like, and then after the round, I was thinking just like that. When I think PGA Championship, Brooks Koepka made a double bogey on the 10th hole. That wasn't his fault. It was a par 5, mud ball he didn't see, hooked it 100 yards out of bounds. And if that happened to me on the medal, I'd probably walk in. I'd probably be like, well, it's not my day today. And I would walk in and be like, that's it. Whereas Brooks made, I think, 4 birdies in his remaining 8 holes and pushed it back. There's such like a level, I think, from the difference in professional golfers and stuff like that as to how they can turn it on, how they can look at the bad shots and be like, that doesn't define the round. Whereas, I'll float it to you guys, but for me, a blow-up hole, such as a 9, such as an 8, even a 7, I would happily say for the 12th hole at Manning's Heath, I averaged a quadruple bogey over the 2 days, which is good.
Which one's the 12 again?
The one where we played and I bombed the drive 320
Oh,
yards.
the one with the really straight drive and you couldn't
real good average score there. Yeah. But I mean, Will, I credit your mental game in terms of recovering from bad shots and stuff like that, because I think you have a really good way to kind of block it out. What's your ethos behind this about good shots, bad shots, staying happy on the golf course, or just staying in the zone?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I know I'm not good enough to be getting mad at a shot. Like, although frustrating as it is, I if I hit a bad shot, it's just because, I mean, I'm a high handicap golfer. I can kind of get away with just laughing and shrugging it off because at the time, like Friday, I hit some terrible shots, some really good ones, but some terrible ones, and the weather was great. It was just the boys having a laugh, and you just, at the end of the day, you can't be mad at it. We're not playing for anything. We're not in a competition. We're just a couple of mates just hitting the course. But I always try in my head, if I'm playing a round of golf, I always try to take at least one good thing from each hole and then move on to the next. So be that, say if I hit a great drive, but everything after that was just absolute butter. Like, actually, no, butter's probably not the right word. absolute shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolute bleep. I'll be like, oh, you know what, I hit a really good drive there, and then we kind of go from there. But I'll also, when you say you do like a horrible tee shot, then you could do a really good recovery shot, and you're like, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a bad tee shot, or vice versa. Like, I just think I just try laugh it off, and just take one good thing from each hole and go to the next, and just try to go with like a clear head. I mean, I know it's easier said than done a lot of the time, but it's just also very easy to get frustrated because you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and that's just golf. That's golf.
Do you find it? Those bad shots, do they not stay with you at points? Do you get embarrassed on the course? Things.
I don't know. Like, I'd say like sometimes like topping a 3-wood, or when we played a couple of weeks ago, and I hit a few practice swings and then lined up to the ball, and then I completely missed the ball and took a massive stripe right alongside of it, and like you couldn't do that. There's no way you could have done that again. But it was almost like the ball didn't move, and it was like it almost looked like a really aggressive practice swing, and I was like, well, that was fine. And luckily for me, Alex was like 5 feet away and said, "Did you just miss the ball?" And I was like, "Oh no, it was a practice swing, mate." Yeah. So, but no, I think even if I do a silly shot that's quote unquote embarrassing, like I said, I'm not good enough to be getting frustrated and mad. I just gotta laugh it off.
Right.
Like I said, it's easier said than done a lot of the time, but I just try laugh, and especially when you're with the boys and the weather's really good, it's just you can all have a laugh together because we're all going to make some really horrendous shots. I think we didn't play our best on Friday, I've got to admit. Like, we all had some good shots in the locker, but we definitely did not play our best.
No, I'm with you there. Johnny, I'll come to you here because I guess my thoughts that I have is that How long have you been playing golf for?
Since I was about 21,
Okay,
so
so
almost 10 years.
yeah, um, and we still hit atrocious shots, correct? We still top it, thin it, shank it. Yeah. My thing when I hit those shots, you said, I think, Will, the contrast here is you are a self-titled beginner, right? You are just getting into the game. If you didn't hit those shots, I'd be having words with you, being like, "What's going on here? Like, get on, live golf." Whereas I've been playing for 15 years now, and I thin chips. I missed the ball with a friend of mine last week trying to play a flop shot. Thankfully, I think I've fixed my short game. Um, but those shots are still there, and those are what frustrate me. Like I've put hours, thousands of hours, weeks, days, months, probably a year for consistently playing golf, and I still hit it like an absolute numpty at points. And I could
Yeah.
argue I know why. I think I have a decent enough knowledge of the game. I've now got a coach as well, but that still happens. So maybe that annoys me more. How do you get over those things? How do you get over that toey drive that you hit at Fox Hills? That was the most hilarious thing we've seen in a while. Like those shots that we see. If you did that in an
Yeah.
actual real round, how would your reaction be?
Christ, it's a good question. It's hard to say because I think I do typically kind of beat myself up about bad shots quite a lot.
Yeah,
Like I can think of a few that come to mind from kind of proper medal rounds where one shot seemingly kind of undone what was the makings of a fantastic round of golf, and you kind of end up not being able to get them out of your head. But I think the best thing you can really do is just take every shot like shot by shot, like just try and move on and forget about it. I think kind of the best example in a professional sense was when Woods took I can't even remember what it was, like a 10 on the 12th at Augusta in
yeah,
I think 2020 or 2021, and then birdied like five of the remaining six holes or something. Like he didn't let it. He knew that was effectively ruined his scorecard, but he just like basically saddled up and was like, right, well, I'm just going to make the most of this round. And I think you got to kind of focus on making the most of any round, no matter what happens early, middle, right at the end. Like you've got to kind of try and take as many positives as you can, which is difficult to do. Like I've given up on rounds of golf before, like you said, Alex, when you
yeah,
said you like knocked out of bounds and said give me a nine. Like I've 100% done that before. But I think if you can kind of like train your brain to not even do that in the most casual of scenarios, you're probably putting yourself in a better condition to then actually play well after you do that in a medal round. I think
yeah,
if you get into the habit of kind of quitting on yourself, even when you're practicing, that's just going to become your kind of natural response when it happens in any kind of scenario or format.
yeah,
And I mean, that's not always easily said than done because sometimes, as you said, when we played on Friday, like we're not playing for anything competitive. We're just trying to get around there quickly. Like, so you're just like,
yeah,
oh, whatever, just put me down for it. But I think whenever you are playing in kind of any slightly more formal round of golf, or there is a kind of score you're putting in, be it Stableford or match play, whatever, is to always kind of never fully quit on a hole. I
yeah,
think if you can like never really give up, that's quite a good mentality to take into kind of like proper scoring rounds of golf.
yeah,
I mean, I'm no psychologist, but I think if you just get into good habits like that, it probably puts you in good stead to kind of perform better when the kind of pressure is on.
yeah,
But I mean, it's brutal. The amount of times I've like fallen trying to fall asleep, and I like my mind just drifts back to like I can like two in particular, my lowest ever rounds, where I was like could have hypothetically shot like one or two over, and then it's always either been like the 16th or 17th hole where it's just been one wayward shot. Both times ended up in a bunker, and I ended up double bogeying the 17th or 16th, and then on both occasions I then parred in, so it was kind of like damage restriction or whatever the name is, damage
yeah,
limitation. But you always just think like, oh, if I just maybe taken a more conservative line or taken less club, and
mhm,
then I could have potentially even bettered my best ever round. But I think if you go through life like that, then you'll never truly enjoy anything. You'll always think
No.
everything could have been better. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean,
Call
I
it
guess
what
it's
if.
also it's kind of what keeps us coming back to golf, isn't it? Because if you played perfectly every time and your scores just went lower and lower and lower, then if anything, it might even become a touch boring. But the fact that you kind of have these speed bumps that make you have to kind of reassess your game, reassess of how you
Mm.
challenge yourself when you're playing golf, it's what makes it, I think, so addictive, and
Sometimes it'd be too
also
easy.
which means
Yeah.
allows us to all play together as well, all for a range of different
Yeah,
handicaps, which is quite good.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that.
It's a very good point. I think after 93 on Sunday, I remember just sitting in my car outside the gym being like, that was the first time I think I played golf and genuinely I didn't have fun. Like, I was thinking that, I was
Mm.
like, I didn't have fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I actually wish I didn't play. But then if I actually took a step back and, as you said, and actually was like, hang on a second, like, the back nine I didn't have fun. But I actually had some fun on the front nine. I hit some really good shots. And then, again, going back to what you said, Will, I hit a great shot on
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hit one good shot on those holes at the minimum. The reason I think my back nine was so bad is because of that notion of I just didn't care, but it's that I wanted to get off the golf course as quick as possible, and
Yeah,
I
the head goes.
I have enough etiquette that I won't just be like see ya and walk off. But if I hit a bad shot, and that was the point I was getting embarrassed with the two older blokes getting good scores, and I'm like, don't search my ball. Like, what was it? The hole after the 12th, par five, I blocked my drive right as per. It's in the rough, and we're like, that's fine. We go to the rough, and they're growing the rough out because it's a clutch event in about 2 months' time. So this rough is
You can't find it.
yeah, it's meaty. We didn't hit provisional, and I'm there now getting really frustrated because that's amateur golf there, and I'm like, I should be able to find this ball 5 yards off the fairway, 10 yards off the fairway.
Yeah.
I had middled it. It would have been 1.5-ish smash. So it was a good shot. Just left the face open, and now I'm getting punished by hitting three off the tee. So in my head, I was getting a bit angry, but then I'm like, oh, I'm now officially done. Like when I feel like that something is unfair on the golf course, I then start blaming the golf course. So I was there looking at Manning's Heath, being like, no, it's your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault that I'm actually playing badly, and trying to blame someone else. But I mean, after then, when I sat in my car, I was like, I tell you what, no, it was fun. And then I was like, oh, I should have actually stayed and practiced my short game or something, because that bug.
Yeah.
I mean, playing badly, I think gets that bug back in at points. Unless it is consistently badly for like a year, then it's a different story. But I've looked at that and I'm like,
Yeah.
if I practice my short game, if I change my driver back to the Ping G430 Max 10K, I mean, I could have shot 63, not 93.
Shut up. Oh, you wouldn't have done. I really honestly think your problem, right, is with difference between you and Johnny, right? Johnny will persevere. So on Friday, he had the DHY, the TaylorMade driving iron, and there were times where he hit some horrendous shots off the tee, but they didn't stop him. He just kind of went, no, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep going, keep going, keep going, and he started hitting it really, 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 really well. Thing is with you, Alex, you hit a couple of shots bad with the driver, and you go, nah, I need to change my driver. If you stuck with something for a long duration of time, you would be fine.
I know what you mean, but this isn't the case because I used the Ping. I loved the Ping, and then for some reason I changed. And it wasn't like I didn't.
Oh, the
didn't
Mizuno. I think the Mizuno Max came out, and you were like, "Oh my god, yeah, I love it. It's the best thing ever."
Yeah,
I was like,
Mizuno's
right.
cool. Mizuno's fine. But the Ping, the G430, the Max 10K and the LST is fine. That should be in my bag. The only reason I changed.
What about the QI10 Max? Why don't you use that?
You're just saying that because you want to use the G430 Max 10K.
You got fitted. You were hitting it. If you go look back to your fitting video in South Carolina with TaylorMade, and you thought you'd be fit for the LS.
Yeah, fully get
And
what
then
you're coming at here. That's fine. But the difference is when some videos you see with fitting videos, they're fitting videos. When the pressure's on, I want the Ping G430 Max 10K in my hand because it is bloody ginormous. When the pressure is on, even if I'm playing badly, for instance, when I'm playing badly, the brand of driver that I had in my hand over the weekend, the face sits too open, it looks too compact. Even if it is the draw bias option, it wasn't for me. And if I'm subconsciously looking at driver being like, oh my god, I'm in trouble, that's not what you want. So I think with
you need something that's confidence inspiring, down at address. But I'm very surprised with the model you went with, considering you have had trouble with that in the past.
It's just. I think it just happens. I think I'm more aware that there's a brand that doesn't really work for me for drivers. And that is what it is.
Alex, I'm as frustrating as you'll find this, Will. I think you need to just go back to the G430 Max 10K, settle on that, use it for a whole season, and don't deviate from the plan.
You know what?
No.
I'm saying it here now. I will forfeit for the rest of the season unless Titleist brings out a really good driver.
No, that's not how this works.
That's not how this
works. You're an equipment
Okay.
editor and you have to review stuff,
No,
and we
fine.
understand that. But the amount of times you switch driver during a season is unhealthy and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
And
That is your
putters.
issue. I think it's drivers. They're probably the most the
Putter
bad that you treat
is
the
not
most.
changing this year. Putting is the best part of my game right now. But
Yeah.
what I will say, virtual handshake, and I want to do this to piss Will off as well. For the rest of this year, I will be a ping boy in my driver.
Oh, you suck. You both suck.
Will, you love the QI10 Max, and you said
I
you were
know,
hitting it
I
really
agree with
well. So you need to stop changing as well. You're both as bad as each other.
So the
No,
intervention, Will.
let me have my time. Let me have my time with it.
You have a week.
If I start hitting well, that's it. I don't know. I'll
No,
sell it.
no.
I'll sell it before you can have it.
But no, I know. Look, it's. I think sometimes in golf, people play badly, and you try and blame something else. And even in this wonderful podcast today, I've said the reason that I play badly is because I had the wrong driver in my bag. Let's be real. That's not the reason. The reason is because I played badly. It's like could make, and the reason is because I played badly, and I think mentally I wasn't there. If I was there, any driver could have worked, especially in 2024. They're all very good drivers. I was hitting that driver very well for the last few weeks before that, but as soon as the pressure's on, there's a difference. So it's not the driver, it's not me, but I need to block that bit out, and even just those, I've been thinking in my head, as you said, Johnny, thoughts have popped into my mind being like, I should go back to steel shafts. Oh, I should go back to that. Maybe the jumbo grips were the right idea. When realistically, I'm actually hitting my irons incredibly well. It's just
Alex,
not sure.
when we played on Friday, you basically exclusively hit 4-iron off the tee. For the first 4-5 holes we played, you were hitting it so well.
I was.
Yeah.
But you know what?
You were hitting it. I was kind of watching you, being like, God, I could never even get near that kind of ball flight, that kind of distance with an iron. And so there's nothing wrong with your equipment, I don't think, personally.
But then I shot 93, Johnny. That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I know, but I've had it where I've shot my best ever round of golf with the same set of golf clubs, and then 2 weeks later shot 105. That's not the club's fault.
I think it's just because
you need to stick with your setup.
Yeah.
And just persevere with it, because it also I think it would benefit you mentally, because if you just say, all right, I'm sticking with this, then you can have more of a look at yourself rather than the equipment, because the equipment is an easy get out of jail free card for like the playing game.
And I think it's more because you've got access to everything. You're like, oh, I'm going to use this today. Oh, I'm going to use this today. Oh, maybe I'll use this today. It's like, no, if you restrict yourself to trying to stick with a set of clubs for at least 2 weeks, you will find that you'll get used to how they operate, and because you swap around too much, you're like, one club's more draw bias, one club does this or whatever. But I think you need to just solely stick to a set.
Look,
like your irons are spot on. Don't need to change them.
Irons, wedges, putters spot on, mini drivers spot on. That I had a gap that could be there. That's fine. Again, even with the 93, the mini driver was actually really good.
Yeah,
so
it's just the driver.
But then that, I guess that mental thoughts that I have about the driver will then, like if you open a wound, then starts bleeding all over the other clubs. So the negative mental attitude I have over the driver will then go on to the other clubs. And even though, as you said, I hit my irons well on Sunday, but I'm now doubting. I'm doubting everything. I'm doubting wedges, even though my wedges are literally custom fit for me. So
I think you should play. I think you should play a couple of rounds of golf, Alex, without a driver.
Yeah. Do what Mika Morris did. His driver smashed or cracked on the range before a tournament, and he just had to solely hit his 2-iron, and he shot one of the lowest rounds of his life.
Okay, wait. Let's make an agreement here then. I will play in my next round of golf. I will at Manning's Heath. I will play without a driver. Should I
Mini
play
drivers allowed?
Mini driver or no
You
mini?
don't
No,
need,
I'm
you
not
don't
that.
need, you don't need, you don't need having played almost all of Manning's Heath. I don't think you need a driver. You're long enough with your mini driver and your irons. I reckon every time I've played with you, almost every time I've played with you, the your big disaster holes have come with off a
Big
lost
stop.
tee shot with your driver.
Yeah.
You know what I'll do? No mini driver. I'll do that as
Okay.
well. I'll go two
Just
iron.
irons.
Yeah, two iron is my longest club. We'll get the
Yeah.
UDI
Okay.
up in there. Maybe or even the pin. No, we'll get the UDI up in there, and we'll just go with that.
Yeah, driving iron definitely,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
I
reckon
think a
with
good
your
idea for a
restriction.
video would be, Alex, if you play a round of golf with no driver, your longest club being a two iron, and we
Mhm.
remove the pins from the holes. So
That would
every
be
single time you just aim for the middle of the green, you're not going at a pin. And then
yeah.
obviously we put it in once you're putting and see what you shoot around Manning's
That is
Heath. So a course
that
that
is
you've got form on and you know well. And we'll
Yeah.
put you around there just with a set of irons and take the flags
yeah.
out and see how you play.
That'd be really
Yeah,
fun
I reckon
actually.
that's. I think if you restrict yourself to, your course management will be heightened as well. Like you'll get, although you obviously play Manning Seath a lot and you know which way to go and all this other stuff, but if you really restrict yourself to going, okay, I'm not going to be able to get the distance that I can with a driver, but then you might think of the game differently and be like, okay, maybe if I hit a two iron here, I can end up about here with X club to get into the green on or
Yeah.
whatever, and it'll make you think more rather than a lot of the time because you play Manning so much, it's like you're quite numb to it because you
Oh,
probably play the
yeah.
same shots on the same hole
Every time.
usually a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you really kind of take out the driver and go, okay, see what I can shoot with no driver and no metalwood at all,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
mini
Yeah.
driver, no freewood, none of that. Just your two iron being the longest club in your bag.
The big boy club.
I reckon that'd be really good. Yeah.
Let's give it
Yeah.
a go. Why not? That could be a little bit of fun. I mean, I'm just thinking as we were talking here, we're talking about what happens to be a bad round. What goes through your guys' heads when you're on a heater, you're doing well, like something's happening on the front nine, and you're there like my best round ever could be happening. How do you guys stay in the moment for this, Johnny? I'll come to you first for this. Like, I mean, you could say you don't and you just shit the bed. You could. Do you have some words of wisdom? What do you go through when that happens?
Um, I I think I'm really bad at that. I think I
Okay.
so often when I'm playing well, I get far too focused on the score, and then when something bad goes wrong, I really struggle to kind of recollect myself and then like crack on. Like
Yeah.
I've had a couple of times where I've been single figures over par on the front, sorry, low single figures over par on the front nine, so like two, three over, and at this point I'm thinking, right, well, I can break 80 here, which by my standards I consider to be like a really good round. Anything under 80 is like my best ever round.
Yeah.
So um, I I should really take it one shot at a time, but I get ahead of myself and I start looking at the scorecard and I think, wow, if I par this, or if I can make a birdie here, yada yada yada, and I think I my attention drifts away from actually just kind of committing to every shot, and then inevitably something bad will happen. That's all it tends to always do. I've never had a round where I've had like every single hole where I've been like, you know what, I didn't really make a mistake there. Like
Sure.
I was maybe slightly out of position, but I've every single time I've been in the hunt for a really good score, I've had a blow up that's cost me two, three
Right.
shots. So not just like a mistake making a bogey or something like that. It's been like more catastrophic than that.
Big one.
Um,
Right.
but I think in terms of like how you mitigate that, I think there's always going to be a certain amount of human error in any round of golf, and like so it's not really how good your best shots are; it's how bad your worst shots are. So I
Yeah.
think that just comes with getting better at golf. You just start hitting less of those, because
Yeah.
occasionally you'll be able to get yourself out of them, but that's not always going to be the case, unfortunately. Um,
Sure.
so I've kind of accepted the fact that that might happen now. Like that is just the part of being a 12 handicapper.
Right.
You're gonna make some mistakes, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make it any less painful. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, in terms of kind of circumventing an explosion hole, if I had a proven formula to that, I'd maybe be shooting, maybe be off for 4 or 5 handicap. Unfortunately, I'm
Sure.
yet to figure it out.
Okay. The thing with your swing though, and actually someone said this to me ages ago, and it's helped me quite a lot. Um, like when I think if someone saw your swing, they wouldn't say you're off 12. And seeing the way you strike the ball, we wouldn't say you're off 12.
Well,
And I had
I get
some
accused of being a
sandbagger,
yeah,
right?
I get
Yeah,
accused of being like a bandit quite a lot.
yeah,
But
Yeah, I can
then
see
it
that.
normally happens on like the third or fourth hole, and then we'll walk off, and I'll have shot like 86. It's like, oh, right, fair enough.
yeah. There we go.
You actually are like a top handicap.
Oh, you weren't lying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I remember someone said to me a while back when I was probably around 12 or 11. And this means like, if you have a bad hole, you are good enough to make 3 birdies in the trot after that. You are good. You have the skill, you have the swing to be able to then do that. Which I think was actually quite helpful. I think the same applies to you with your swing. Like you are good enough to, let's say if you make a double, you're then good enough to make 2 birdies in the next 2 holes and do that. The only thing that's stopping you is you. And like that being said, I'll come to you in a second, Will, because it'll be an interesting difference. But I actually think one of my things is when I play well to a level, I don't do too badly. Like I don't blow up ish. But I think every amateur golfer will get tunnel vision as to, oh my god, something could happen here. Like what I try and do is I don't try and let the thoughts get to me. For example, on Saturday, my first hole at Manning's, playing with someone else, +1, someone off scratch. We all middle of the fairway. I hit it to 8 foot, they hit it to 6 foot, 6 foot. I rolled in my putt for birdie on the first, and then one of them rolls in their putt, the other one doesn't. I'm looking at that, being like, oh, I'm going to shoot low today, like in a good way, not like an arrogant. I have the ability to shoot low today, and I actually messed up 2 really easy holes. The 8 is a par 5 and 9 par 4 to lead me to be, I think, 3 over or 2 over after 9 holes, which I was just like, that could have been better. But you'll have PGA Tour players who will shoot 59, so that could have been a 56. I think you can let that get to you, being like, that could be so much better. And I'm looking, being like, I've just shot like under my handicap over the first 9 holes. The only thing is, and again, I had then made a quintuple bogey. That's a few too many bogeys in one hole for me to then get over that. But I saw something that Podrick Harrington said about the notion of like when you're playing well, and it's to never be like, oh, this is comfortable type thing. You've always got to be like, not you're up against it, but you always got to grind it out. So it's like, let's say, so I actually had that on the front nine on Saturday, and when I was 1 under through, I was 1 under through like 5, but in my head I didn't view myself as 1 under. In my head I was like, I'm a few over. I don't want to be like, oh, okay, I'm easy, I'll just do this and do that. And I noticed myself then playing for safety when I was thinking, oh, I'm having it easy. I wasn't committing to shots. I was more like cricket swinging them, directing it to the hole, rather than what I'd be doing if I didn't have a care in the world, or was like, oh, I've got to hit a good shot here. And that led to me actually then playing better. If I'm consistently looking at target, I'm hitting it there, 100% committing to it. Doesn't matter what the swing is, you are going for that. Well, what do you think in regards to this? Because I think for you, and we've seen your swing. You've got a very athletic swing. You definitely can shoot in the 90s and the 80s. What do you do? What goes through your head when you have one good hole, for instance? Because for you, making a par or making a birdie is massive, right?
Huge.
Because that's a net eagle, that could be
Massive.
a net albatross. You know, you're taking all the putt money home type thing. Like, what goes through your head when that happens?
I am a sandbagger.
Yeah, like that.
Well, that's the thing. When we played, it must have been a while ago. Well, it feels like a while ago. And I was striping it. It's where someone we played with, one of our friends, I said I was 28 handicapper. And the way I was hitting it, he was like, a few explicit words were said, and he was like, "No, I'm not having any of this. We're being hustled here." And I don't know what I was doing, but the shots I was hitting, I came off the tee shaking. I was like, "What's going on?" I couldn't. I was like, it was like the first par 3 at Manning's Heath, and absolutely drilled a hole to 10 foot away from the pin or something.
Yeah.
About that, and I was just like, what's happening? And then like before that, I was hitting a really nice, I know the tee shot drive was just, yeah, it was incredible. My putting was just next level. Everything was just going. I was like, what is actually happening right now? I can't contain myself. And every time I stood on the tee box, it's almost like I didn't want to hit, because I was like, I was not scared. I just had so much adrenaline from me. I was like, oh shit. I mean, oh, like this could go anywhere. And I think with that happening, it's like too many swing thoughts go through my mind, and then there were times where then it just kind of lost it. And the guy we were playing with then was like, "Oh, he's human." Then I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
So are you saying that
um,
you haven't really been in those positions enough to feel comfortable for
no,
when you
yeah, that's the
yeah.
thing. I think when that was all happening, I was just hitting them so pure that doesn't happen as often. And
Yeah.
like you said, if I get a par, a birdie is obviously huge, but even a par for me is massive. Like
Yeah.
getting a par is such an achievement to me. Like because a lot of the time I'm putting down, like bogey, double bogey, triple bogey. Like that's kind of naturally what my scorecard looks like. Even like I played last week, and because of with the weather and the light, we managed to get full 18 in. I teed off at like 5:30, got full 18 in. Was like, oh, brilliant. But there was a time where I was, I took a really nice drive. Then luckily I put the hybrid in my bag. Hybrid to like I think it must have been like 10 yards from the cuff of the green, and I was that was for eagle, so I was chipping on for birdie, and I was like, and then of course I don't chip, I Texas wedge it, and it goes right off the back. So I'm like, because this is the confidence thing, but yeah, I'm never really in that situation where I'm going to be putting low numbers down. So when I am in that situation, it's just I think adrenaline gets to me, and then my head goes, and that's basically it.
Right.
So
That's
yeah.
fair enough. I think one thing that I'll always echo, and this is to all of us and everyone listening and watching, is that if you get yourself into a position that you're playing good golf, it means you are a good golfer type thing. So like the notion
Hmm.
of emotions of being scared and under pressure and stuff like that, it's easier said than done. But like you've shot a par on the last hole because you played well, because you are playing well. It's
Yeah.
not like you shouldn't feel like you have an imposter syndrome because oh my god, wait, I'm of 28 and I'm even par through three. Well done, you're a good golfer. We all know this. Like keep going. It's not
Hmm.
like I think when I was off 20, 21, if I would do that, I'd be like, right, well, this hole's going to be rubbish then, isn't it? Oh, I've made three pars in a row. Well, this one's going to be
Yeah.
rubbish type thing.
Yeah.
You're awaiting the doom that will impend in
Hmm.
some point in the 18 holes rather than being like, this is fun. Let's just live in it, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so difficult to remember at times because then again, you can use that when you're playing bad golf and you're like, well, look, I'm good enough to bounce back from this. Like, I've now had
Yeah.
48 hours from my turbulent round of golf, and I'm there like, you know what, I'm good enough to now shoot 71 next weekend, like 100%. It's just I'm not a moron. Um, but it's just so difficult to do, I think, when you get so emotionally attached to this game. I think we all are now. As you said, Johnny has had sleepless nights for it. I have as well. I've literally been walking down to the shop, and I will stop because I remember a bad shot I hit like 3 months ago, and I'm like, oh, wow, that was embarrassing, and then just carry on again. Um, it's I don't think. Do you think there's any other sport apart from maybe football that you can get this emotionally attached to?
The only other sport I've been this emotionally attached to playing wise,
Yeah,
I would never been like this emotionally attached playing wise to football. I get that emotionally attached watching football, but tennis used to do my head in
Yeah.
when I was like, because I used to play a lot, play quite
yeah,
competitively. Um, and when that's going bad, that I used to find that incredibly frustrating. But I think
sure,
it's a different kind of frustrating because in tennis you can kind of be forced into errors,
yeah,
so it's less feels like it's less on you and it's
Hmm.
less about how you perform under pressure. In golf, because I think it's such a closed skill, like you're stood up to the ball. Granted, there are kind of factors that affect that, lie and conditions and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's you hitting the shot, and if you make the mistake, then it's all your fault and how you've dealt with that pressure. And I
yeah,
think that's what makes it such a kind of unique sport in that respect, and why it is so frustrating because you don't have anything else to blame. You don't have anyone else to blame. If you make a mistake, it's your fault.
you,
Um, and I think also the as you said the how much we care has a huge effect. Like if I shoot a 72, does my fiance care? Not really. Is it going to make my year? Like absolutely. Like that would be like one of the best things that's happened in a long, long time. Um, but I think you kind of almost need to try and remove that external pressure that you put on yourself, well, the internal pressure that you put on yourself, and
Yeah.
yeah,
remember sometimes that it's just a game. But it's tough to do, and I mean, there's a reason that so many pros have psychology, like psychologists on their teams, like Wyndham Clark. We see that was kind of covered in Full Swing recently.
Yeah.
Like if you can kind of get your emotions in check and get your mental game in the right place, it's going to have a massively positive effect on how your body reacts to stress and reacts to pressure.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say about like, does your fiance care? No, because it's like when I'm teeing off and I do a really bad shot and there's loads of people on the tee box watching, you almost got to think you're never going to see them again, or if you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
see them again, you probably can't remember what they look like, and they're not gonna care once they go off because they've got other stuff to worry about. But this also that side of me, especially being a high handicapper, like when I played last week, there was no warm up. I was rushing from the car park to the tee box, like almost out of breath. And then I think I had the driver tee down too low and it went like 15 yards in front of me. And then I went to hit an iron and it went like absolutely went right. I was like, great. And then I tried it again and I barely hit it and shanked it. And I was like, this is right in front of the clubhouse and right in front of where everyone was having drinks. And I was like, no, I want to kind of like cancel this now. I want to be like, I want to just go back to the car and cry. But carried on going, and then then we obviously got a decent round in, and it was good to go.
It's good to hit bad shots. That's the thing. It as much as it sometimes you think it traumatizes you, it's good because it kind of makes you aware as to what that feeling's like, and then you become less scared. The more I think about all these shots that I've hit, I think it gives you experience, and then when you get into the situations where you want to play well, it's fine. Like I'm now thinking and really looking back at that round on Sunday, and I remember actually I was going to drop you guys a message, but my phone was in my bag because on the fifth hole I got up and down from a bunker. I don't think I've done that since last year. And when I say up and down, I don't mean a fluky up and down. I mean I think I figured something out a little bit. I was on the fifth hole with a bunker on the right. Literally, I had turf interaction great. Went to 3 foot and I made the putt, and I was like,
Nice.
I said in my head, whatever happens for the rest of this round, I've just done that. But I blocked that out. I was so angry. The funny thing as well is, despite shooting 79 on Saturday and 93 on Sunday, my handicap went down because I took out some other scores. I think the 79 took out 86. So I'm now a 4.3. I went from 4.5 to 4.3. I'm now a 4. Yeah, which is a bit weird. I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, it's one of those. I don't know the world handicap system. I don't really get it, but it's one of those things. So yeah, I'll be interested to anyone listening to and watching this podcast. How do you guys cope with good rounds, bad rounds? Let us know down in the comments. Share your wisdom. We're all here to get better at golf to help each other. Hopefully, this podcast has helped you gain some relatability, and we've shared some wisdoms, just some good, some bad, as to how we could deal with it. I'm sure we would all in 6 months' time be off far lower handicaps if we focus on our mental game, focus on our course management and whatnot. We will regroup, and I will not use a driver for the next round of golf and just aim at the middle of the flags and see what's what. That's it from us today at the Par 4 podcast presented by Golf Magic. This has been a fun one. We got a lot of more fun things next week that will fill you in on. A lot of golf coming soon from all of us. Lovely weather here in the southeast of England apart from today. So hopefully our scores will keep tumbling down, not tumbling up. And we will all be making tons and tons of birdies, as well as all of our wonderful listeners and watchers over the next few weeks and months. But guys, make sure you catch us at the next one. We'll see you then.